On 31st of October 1984, the Prime Minister of India was gunned down by her own security bodyguards. After she was shot dead, the two security bodyguards dropped their arms and said, "What we had to do, we have done it. Now it's your turn to do what you have to do." They were aware of the consequences. They attacked the sovereignty and integrity of India. For what? For the role of Indira Gandhi in Operation Bluestar. But what is Operation Bluestar? We are going to discuss that. From the perspective of our examination, it is important to know about it. Specifically, GS Mains Paper 1, 2nd and 3rd. First, 2nd, 3rd, do not worry about notes. It is provided through my Telegram channel, Pooja Dwivedi UPSC. If you have any queries, you can talk to me on my Instagram. Follow me on my threads. It was a day as usual for the Prime Minister of India. At around 9:10 a.m., she was going from her official building to her residential building, crossing from the garden path. She saw her two bodyguards, Beant Singh, who was a sub-inspector and had been a part of the security team since a long period of time. The other was a new joining, Constable Satwant Singh. While she was looking at them, she smiled, folded her hands as namaste. In return, when she saw that they were also raising their hands, she was of course thinking that they are going to do salam. But instead, they were fully armed, and within a time span of 25 seconds, 30 shots were aimed at her. She collapsed there. She was taken to AIIMS, but at around 2:30 p.m., she was declared dead. Rajiv Gandhi was in West Bengal. He was campaigning for elections, the upcoming elections. By the time he landed in Delhi at around 6:30 p.m. on the same day, it was very clear that he is going to be the successor of Indira Gandhi as the Prime Minister. At 11 p.m., he addressed the nation that he is going to face this tumultuous time with fortitude. But what followed was very cruel. Within a time span of 3 days after that, incessant cruelty was inflicted upon Sikhs, innocent Sikhs. By government estimates, at least 3,350 Sikhs were killed. These are government estimates. These are very conservative in nature. If we just talk about Delhi, it was at least 2,800 Sikhs. The army was called to take control of the situation. A grim peace, put a blanket over the entire situation. But what was for it all? The Khalistan movement. It was a Khalistan movement manifestation. What is Khalistan? Khalistan is an aspiration to carve out certain regions from Pakistan and India to create a separate homeland for the Sikhs, and it stems from the independence of India and creation of Pakistan. Hindus got Hindustan, Muslims got East Pakistan and West Pakistan, East Pakistan, now Bangladesh. But what about the Sikhs? In fact, many other regions such as Lahore and Nankana Sahib, it went to Pakistan. So the Sikhs felt, slighted with this. Many pro-Khalistan leaders were not happy with it. So, first that. Second was the administrative issue. The issue of sharing water from the river Indus and other tributaries. It created a lot of problems for them. But Indira Gandhi was never in favor of having a separate homeland. Why? Because it was secessionist in nature. India is indestructible, first, that, and foremost, it stands today as well. Any secessionist movement which is premised upon violent incursions will never be accepted. Secondly, what from her perspective was, if there would be a creation of separate Sikh state as well, a homeland or a state, then it would not be in the favor of her party because the Hindus would get upset. But in 1966, trifurcation happened. A state was created by the name of Punjab for the Sikhs, Himachal Pradesh and Haryana for the Hindi-speaking population. But no to a separate homeland. Now let's talk about Jarnail Singh Bhindranwale. He was created in order to counter Shiromani Akali Dal's movement, pro-Khalistan movement. But in the 1980s, he started siding with them. He was a very captive orator. He enthused the youth in such a manner that he started becoming a problem for the Congress. Not only that, he took refuge in the Golden Temple, specifically Akal Takht, which is one of the 5 seats of powers in Sikhism, in order to evade arrests. And that was just the beginning of it all. When DIG Atwal was shot dead, his body was left to decay. Nobody took his body for cremation or any other purposes. But that was just the beginning. DSP Gill says in his book, he says that after that, a chain of events start to take place. Many chain of events started to take place. Mutilated bodies, body parts, heads. These were just a normal view in the sewers near the Golden Temple. Because the Golden Temple became a fortress where Bhindranwale was there and his supporters were very armed in nature. They had all the arms and the ammunitions. Not only that, but Major General Shah Beg, who was dismissed from the Indian army, he started training the militants. And he knew exactly how the army would handle the entire situation. So it was all really planned in a really evasive manner. So if we talk about Operation Bluestar, before that we had Operation Sundown. Operation Sundown was one of the operation that wanted to abduct Bhindranwale, but it also had a feature that mass casualties would occur. So it was killed by the Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. Later on, she said yes to Operation Bluestar. How did Operation Bluestar begin? Let's talk about just 4 days before Operation Bluestar. On June 1st, CAPF actually fired shots at the temple. Why was that done? In order to assess the training and strength of the militants who were inside. What was their training? Then on June 3rd, a 36-hour curfew was imposed on the state of Punjab. No to and fro of people, no communication lines, and lot of media censorship. And before that, just before that, after all this, there was a sense of foreboding among the Sikhs and even Indira Gandhi. On June 5th, midnight, they were able to enter the Golden Temple from the northern gate, and Bhindranwale was here in the Akal Takht. Because he knew for a reason that the army could never enter this region. This particular space was a safe haven because, of course, it is a revered seat of power, very important to the Sikhs, and this was something that has been also called by DSP Gill as a military overreaction in hindsight. So he was here. Commandos started to enter inside, and Major General Shabeg Singh, he ensured that the militants are trained perfectly, and they did in retaliation kill a lot of commandos, the militants. Later on, tanks were called in the Golden Temple on June 6th. So June 6th, when 3 Vijayanta tanks entered, a lot of desecration happened. Many civilians were killed, few to 1,000. This is, of course, conservative estimates that we are giving you because these are government estimates. We cannot tell other than this. So what happens that when tanks entered, this was seen as an assault on the entire Sikh community, not only in India, but also the world. And that is why DSP Gill has called it a massive blunder in the sense, in hindsight, not short term, but hindsight. This has been called a military blunder and a political overreaction by DSP Gill. Okay. And later on, when certain militants started dashing out in a manner that was suggesting that either Bhindranwale has been killed, either he is injured, or worse, he has escaped. But when the army went to the Akal Takht, they saw that within a horde of 40 corpses, Bhindranwale's body was also there. And after he was killed, he has been given he has been revered as a figure. He has been called what? He has been called a sant. He has been given a status of a mythological character. So the Khalistan movement goes in a similar manner. Amrit Pal, who was killing people around for his own Khalistan movement, he has also gotten a surgery in the USA to look just like him. We are going to talk about Amritpal as well. Okay. So over the next 12 hours, it was just desecration. It was, of course, for the militants to be rooted out. The militants do use still the pro Khalistan group, which has a militant structure. They use Guru Granth Sahib for a lot of protection. They carry that books with them while they are firing at people in Punjab, at police stations in Punjab. So this is something that has been a pivot of their strategy. But in the global scenario, in Indian scenario as well, it was seen as an assault. Okay, moving on. What are the estimates of the people who have been killed? The army says, the government says that 554 militants and civilians were dead, 83 troops were dead. And they said that we gave a lot of announcements. The army said that we did a lot of announcements for civilians to take refuge whenever we had to attack. But in 2017, a Sessions Court in Amritsar ruled that there was no evidence of such warning. Even Congress leader Sajjan Kumar was sentenced to life imprisonment by the Delhi High Court in 2018 for the murder of 5 persons in Delhi, keeping that in mind. And of course, these are just estimates. The actual figures are much higher. This is not what I am saying. This is what third party review is saying. And Indira Gandhi, since then, since June, she had this sense of foreboding with her very near and dear ones and her personal secretary as well. She used to talk a lot about death. The personal secretary one day asked, "Ma'am, why are you talking about death so much?" She reacted, "Isn't that inevitable?" That means she had this foreboding, a sense of foreboding. She was most obsessed with the security of her grandchildren, Rahul and Priyanka. She thought that they would either be abducted or harmed in certain manner. So security was beefed up. She was also given a proper chance to, transfer her Sikh bodyguards and get army personnel. But she said no to it. Even the intelligence sources, when they informed the prime minister, they warned the prime minister that there is a threat to her life. She said, "Aren't we secular?" That means she did not want to be seen as somebody who would do that just for her own safety. She would remove the Sikh bodyguards. She thought that this would further up the already negative emotions in the Sikh community about her. Okay, so of course that happened. She knew it and she got it. Okay, let's move on. Amritpal, of course, Amritpal's case is really very near to, as he wants to become a nearer figure to Jarnail Singh. First, he got surgery done from the USA to look like him. Secondly, the kind of pro-Khalistan movement he did or he does is pretty militant in nature. If you talk about just Punjab in India, there is not a lot of traction. Indians in Punjab, Sikhs in Punjab do not want a separate homeland. Majority of them. But the Sikh community that is living around the world, Canada, USA, UK, they have been brainwashed in a certain manner that they have to have a separate homeland for Sikhs. Alright? Not, of course, how can we just take out Canada from the picture? Do you know, last year there was a celebration of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi's assassination in Canada through tableaus, and that was allowed by the Canadian government. There is, freedom of expression and speech, even though if it is impacting the friendly relationship with India. India has certain restrictions on the freedom of expression, and there is one more part to it, that as soon as we do not see any threat to the friendly relations with other countries, we can allow freedom of expression. But no, not such thing as in Canada. Also in High Commission in London, we saw that pro-Khalistani members were taking down the flag of India, replacing it with Khalistan flag. There are many disturbing pictures that we have seen on the internet. I'm not going to show it today because, of course, this is really hurtful as a nationalist, as everybody should be, that their own country's flag is being dragged down. And the Khalistan issue remains one of the pivotal issues between India and Canada. Diplomatically with Canada, we have tried all the time to solve this matter. But the party with whose support Justin Trudeau is a prime minister is the pro-Khalistani party. He cannot go against that. So that is a problem. I hope you understood this topic. I hope I was able to give you some clarity. Thank you so much for watching.